Hi everyone, I hope that you all are well and staying at home. And in case if you are bored, I suggest to color this very simple picture, probably project for beginners, from the Spring Scenes by Creative Heaven by Teresa Goodrich. Usually I don't like pictures with various multiple objects. I prefer to color one scene. But here I decided that I can show you how to color simple objects, simple textures, and how to do preliminary color planning. It's important to limit amount of colors on such complicated pictures. Let's start from obvious color choice. Here we have several wooden elements with wooden texture. We have tree trunk, we have birdhouse and basket. I suggest to select couple of very bright objects like boots and wheelbarrow, and all other elements we will be coloring in more neutral colors. And in this way, by doing something bright, something dark, and all other in uh, calm colors, you will be getting in the end well balanced color composition. Let's start from very easy task. Let's color all the leaves which form some kind of frame around this picture. For the leaves I decided to use two shades of green. Even if I need to color tiny object, I always try to use at least two colors. And here I am putting dark green color near the base of the leaf, so Prussian green, and lighter green color near the tip of the leaf. I love to combine Prussian green with pale sage, and with this color combo of dark and light green, I plan to color all the leaves around the frame. For the leaves which are inside the picture around the birdhouse, I've decided to use another color combo of two green pencils. One will be lime peel, and I decided to add it to these small leaves. I love lime peel, it's very bright, it's yellow-green, and I think that it's quite helpful when you need to color fresh green leaves, which we can often see on the trees during early spring days. Even for these tiny leaves, I will be also using two colors. Lightest near the tip of the leaf will be lime peel, and closer to the base of the leaf I will be using Kelly green. Next we have the birdhouse, and here we need to do two main things. One, we need to show texture of the wood, so I selected beige sienna as a basic wood color, and then with darker brown pencil, light amber, I will be drawing a line to indicate texture on the wood. But also we need to think about shading. You can clearly see that birdhouse has quite big roof, and roof is casting shadow on the upper part of the birdhouse. So I need to shade all area of the birdhouse which is under the roof. For the shading I will be using sepia. Also, I want to show that many of the elements on my picture are highlighted by the sunlight, so I want to add a little bit of yellow to almost all elements on this picture. That's why, apart from the basic wooden color beige sienna, I also use a little bit of jasmine to the central part of the birdhouse. And also I decided to use it a little bit on the roof. On the birdhouse we already have some lines drawn by Teresa Goodrich which indicate wooden texture. So with light amber I try to increase them to make them more prominent, and with nicely sharpened tip of the pencil I also draw some additional lines. You know that wooden texture have some lines, some rings, so we need to draw those tiny lines on the surface of the wood. I also use light amber for the branches of the tree around the birdhouse. On the next step I need to do shading. As I said, the roof of the birdhouse will be casting shadow to the upper parts of the wall, so there I will need to put dark brown color. I will be using sepia. And also a birdhouse is standing on some kind of plank or tree trunk. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, to the area where the birdhouse is connected to this wooden tree trunk, here I also need to shade. I thought that to color the whole birdhouse, even the roof of it with beige sienna and light amber, will look a little bit boring, so I decided to use another shade of brown. I will be using sienna brown for the roof, and it also will give me possibility to use sienna brown for the basket. In this way, all wooden elements will look more interesting. On this picture, I plan to do at least two elements colored with pastel colors. First one will be flowers around birdhouse, and for the flowers I use in a random order pink and blush pink. I don't like flowers which are outlined by black lines like we have here. I will mask all black lines with white Posca marker later. I can't do it now because in order to outline them I need to do background behind the birdhouse. So we will be doing it later in the next parts of this color along. For now I simply color all flowers with combination of pink and blush pink. I try to do some brighter flowers in each composition, in each group of the flowers, some lighter flowers. You know that when you look even at one tree, you can find that young flowers can be slightly brighter, and flowers which are already fading, they are paler, and that's why I use similar shades of the pink, but this really helps to create more interesting picture comparing to the picture colored with just one shade of pink. As I said, this tutorial it's more for beginners, that's why I explain such an elementary things, and I hope that I don't sound very funny or ridiculous. The other pastel element which I plan to do on this picture it's obviously Easter eggs. So we can use the same pink colors for the part of the eggs in the basket, and basket will be our next object to color. When I was a beginner colorist, for me it was a little bit difficult to color baskets. Basket has a complicated structure. Basket is woven from twigs of vine. Again, I don't know how to call those elements properly, so I will call them twigs. And we need to show that parts of those intertwined twigs are on the upper layer, that there are some dark spaces between twigs, and also the whole basket will have some highlighted areas which uh, gets bigger amount of light, and also some shadow areas, for example area near the ground. I decided to use a very simple method of coloring this small basket. First I use sienna brown. You can see that I left some uncolored areas in the central part. Later I will add a little bit of jasmine to those areas to show that basket is nicely highlighted by the sunshine. And now, without big pressure on my sienna brown pencil, I color all the twigs. Later, with sepia or even with black, I will be filling in spaces between twigs. I also need to darken area near the egg laying in front of the basket. It will be casting shadow on the basket which is behind, and the whole area of the basket which is closer to the ground also will be slightly darker. On the next step, I will color a remaining wooden element, tree trunk, and again I will be using at least two shades of brown colors. Sepia as a shadow color and light amber as a slightly lighter color. As usual, I imagine that my imaginary light source, is somewhere in the left upper corner. So that's why I put darker color sepia on the right side of the tree trunk and lighter shade of brown, light amber, to the left side. Next, I decided to do Easter eggs. As I said, as the first variety of them, I will be using the same pink colors which I used for the flowers. So first color combo is pink and blush pink. I also wanted to do some lavender and blue eggs. So all those colors, they will look nice together. You can uh, shade blue color with lavender, you can shade pink color with lavender, and together they will look quite nicely in this basket. You can see that on the upper part of almost each egg I leave uncolored area. Later I will add a little bit of eggshell. It's very pleasant, not very bright yellow color, which will help me again to show that eggs are highlighted by the sun. Uh, as eggs, they are matte and they are not shiny and glossy, so the highlighted area isn't very big and isn't very visible, but still on top of the egg I add this pale yellow color and it will help me to create effect of the sunlight of the whole on the whole composition. areas between eggs and areas where eggs are close to the basket, there you need to put darker color. So shading will be in the bottom part of the egg where they are pressed into the basket and between eggs. I don't know why, but when I color pictures in Creative Haven books by Teresa Goodrich, one of my favorite steps in the coloring process is coloring frame. After I color frame, I think that picture starts to look more accurate, more finished. I think that this frame really helps the whole book to look more interesting. And I love when background is limited by the frame. Usually for the frame I try to use quite dark color, and usually I select one of the most uh, frequently used colors which I have on the picture, and here I decided to use Prussian green. If you remember, Prussian green we already used for the bases of the leaves which are near the frame. So frame and those leaves, they will look nice together. And as last element in this first part of the color along, I suggest to color two terracotta pots, which we have for the tree and which we have behind the boots for the flowers. To select main color for the terracotta pots is quite easy. It will be Prismacolor terracotta pencil. I already mentioned that the light source is somewhere in the left upper corner. I indicated it here with my pen. So the left side of the pot will be more highlighted. To indicate this area of the pot which is highlighted by the sun, again I will be using jasmine pencil. But this pot also has a white hem on the upper part of the pot, and this white edge of the pot will be casting shadow on the narrow part which is beneath it. So between wide part of the pot and narrow part, I also need to do shading. For the shading, I will be using sepia. You can see that as much as possible, I try to limit amount of pencils I use. I use jasmine, I use sepia, multiple colors. In order to make slightly brighter terracotta color for the pot, I decided to add also pumpkin orange. I love this color and I tend to use it a lot in my pictures. So here it really helped me to create very bright terracotta color. I love this orange tint of the clay. Now I put jasmine along the left side of the pot. The upper white part is also more highlighted, it gets bigger amount of light comparing to the narrow part which is beneath. Sepia will help me to shade the right side of the pot and area between wide and narrow parts. The second pot I will be coloring in almost the same way. The left side will be lighter, so there I will put jasmine and pumpkin orange. In the middle part I will put terracotta, but on the second pot we also have boots which are standing in front of them, and obviously boots will be casting shadow, so between pot and boots I need to put darker color, sepia again. I hope that it was easy to understand, even if it wasn't very easy to explain. Well, I hope that you liked this first part of the color along for beginners. I hope that you were able to find something helpful to you. I hope that you will stay at home, be safe, and I will try to post more videos to keep you entertained. Thank you for watching, and until the next part.